There's one category of dreams that I get asked about more than any other: nightmares. Truthfully, I can understand that. I don't know of anyone who hasn't been woken up at least once in the middle of the night by a scary dream, or who's had a dream so bizarre or so terrifying it's kept them up all night. Nightmares are so common, and yet they're also so misunderstood by almost everyone. So, to help us explore the mysteries of these night dreams, I'm happy to welcome my guest today, internationally recognized dream expert Clare Johnson. Clare is the current president of the International Association for the Study of Dreams, has a PhD in lucid dreaming, and is the author of several books, including Mindful Dreaming and Llewellyn's complete book of lucid dreaming. Welcome to the Dream Power Show, Clare.
Hi, Debbie. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Clare, let's just start at the beginning. So, what is your definition of a nightmare and what causes them?
I mean, the way I define a nightmare is an upsetting or distressing dream. It's usually one that is so upsetting or distressing that it wakes us up, often with a shock or with a heavy feeling. So for me, nightmares are very important. They're fascinating. I see them as healing gifts. I see all dreams as coming to help and heal us. And nightmares, even though they can be really horrible and very distressing, they also carry gifts for us of creativity and healing. So that's something I've been fascinated with for my whole life. And I've been doing more research into nightmares, for the past 15, 20 years or so, and I never failed to be interested by the nightmares that people have, and the way that when you work with a nightmare to unpack its meaning, you can really gain so much from doing that in terms of self-understanding or healing from the past, or just working out where you are in your life and where you should be going on your life's path. So there's so many things that we can gain from when we work with nightmares.
I know that is so true. I mean, I've told people that nightmares can be the best gift that they've ever gotten. They look at me like I'm crazy, but it is so true that if you spend the time to figure it out, you can get a lot of healing from a nightmare. But to get back to it, is there anything that actually causes us to have nightmares?
Yeah, so I mean, I believe that nightmares have a purpose. I think all dreams have this purpose of releasing emotions that are too strong, things that we haven't managed to deal with adequately during our daily life. Perhaps also things that we're suppressing without knowing about it. For me, a nightmare is like a red flag. It's saying, hey, there's something here that needs to be dealt with. You need to look at this. You need to give it your attention. You need to focus on it. Nightmares are extremely common, especially in children. I mean, I don't know what your dream life was like when you were a child. I remember having plenty of nightmares, and with my young daughter, we've been working together on her nightmares as well. It's a normal part of life to have nightmares. The time when it becomes not so normal anymore is when we suffer from recurring traumatic nightmares, and this often happens after we've had some sort of trauma in our lives. And again, it's the mind's way of saying to us, this isn't resolved yet. There still needs to be work done on this. So the nightmare, even though it feels like the nightmare is attacking us on some level, we feel attacked, we feel upset by it, it's actually simply our dreaming mind pointing out to us that there's healing is needed, healing is needed in this area. So I think nightmares have that very important purpose of releasing things, emotions that are too strong for us to handle, and also helping us to integrate difficult experiences into our life, and work with our own memories of life, and try to understand why bad things happen to us. For example, we may have nightmares after someone we love dies, and that's all to do with the whole grief process of understanding that person is really gone, and there can be nightmares involved in that. Grief is a very complex emotion and a very long and often difficult process. And nightmares do sometimes have their part in that process. But again, I do believe that they will give us, they will show us the path towards healing.
What are there any other, would you call common types of nightmares?
I mean, for example, I'll tell you that through my website, I get so many people contacting me about a particular kind of nightmare, and these are sleep paralysis nightmares. So sleep paralysis is when we feel that we're trapped in our bodies. It's a transitional state as we fall asleep. Everybody has a paralysis in their muscles every night to stop us from acting out our dreams, as that would be dangerous. But when we're consciously aware in this state, we can't move our bodies. We may feel trapped and upset, and often there are very difficult nightmare images that go with this if we don't know what's happening. Because when we panic in that state, because it's a thought responsive environment, the dream imagery responds by, if we're terrified, it gets more terrifying, you know? So it's very important to be able to relax and release fear in that state. So I get a lot of people writing to me, unfortunately, saying that they're scared to go to sleep because they know that the moment they go to sleep, they're going to go into sleep paralysis and have some awful nightmare of a demon coming into their room, or, you know, some terrible monster trying to attack them. And understandably, it's so frightening when you don't know what to do. But there are ways of working with sleep paralysis. As I said, the most important thing is to be able to relax and feel calm and peaceful in that state. And then that will help you to reduce this scary imagery. And you can also, you could wake yourself up if you needed to. You can wriggle your fingers and toes. You can hold your breath, because we still have control over our breathing, even in sleep paralysis. And if you hold your breath, that shocks the body into waking. Or you can understand that, okay, I'm conscious in this state. Crazy things are happening. It's not that great, but I'm going to do my relaxation techniques. I'm going to breathe and calm down. And then I'm going to visualize something very beautiful, like a beach with a hammock. And I'm just going to go into that scene, and that can take you directly into a lucid dream where you know that you're dreaming while you're dreaming. So sleep paralysis can actually be a gateway to a beautiful conscious dream, but only when we know how. So I often find that I'm responding to people and giving them tips of what to do when they have sleep paralysis nightmares.
Right. Well, I think it's
so that's one kind of nightmare.
Yeah, I was going to say that it is so important, because it's the not knowing that makes nightmares so scary. Because when you do understand that they're actually a message that you're getting, and you understand, you know, you can at least find out and ask questions how to understand the question, or how to understand the what you're getting from the nightmare. But it is a way of healing and getting there and getting to a better understanding of yourself. So that's, so you said sleep paralysis, one way of doing it is to get yourself to relax. Is there, would that be like the general way to help you when you have nightmares, or are there other techniques you can use for other types of nightmares?
Yeah, I mean, there are many techniques of working with nightmares, and they can be astonishingly effective. What I really love about a lot of these techniques is that they don't take long. They may just take a couple of minutes, and yet they can result in insights, healing, and then sometimes in the case of recurring nightmares, they can even just dissolve those recurring nightmares, that they don't come back again, because the problem that the nightmare is flagging up has been acknowledged, it has been resolved, and the fear or the negative emotion, whatever it is, has been diffused or integrated, and that frees up the psyche. It doesn't need that recurring nightmare anymore. So I'll share with you, if you'd like, some ways of working with nightmares for healing and insight.
Yes, why don't we go through several of these that, you know, could help people when they do get nightmares, if they don't know what to do.
Exactly, that's the thing. So one thing you can do is you can re-enter the nightmare while you're awake. So this is a way of working with the nightmare I'd like to say first, though, if you have a severely distressing nightmare, or if you're suffering from bereavement, or if you have any issues with depression, then I wouldn't recommend working with a really terrible nightmare all on your own. I think it's better to go and see a dream therapist and be able to have that safe space in which to work on a nightmare. But for other people who feel they want to work with a particular nightmare, a very effective technique is to lie down and relax, close your eyes, knowing that you're safe and knowing that you can open your eyes at any time and stop the process. And then just relax and bring your nightmare back into your mind's eye, and let it sort of happen again, scene by scene. And this time, when the scary thing happens in the nightmare, or the unpleasant thing, then just try sending it peace and love. So if you can just kind of think of something or somebody that you really love unconditionally. It might be your child, or it might be your dog, and bring a feeling of love into your heart and peace, and then send that out to this difficult part of your dream. This is incredibly powerful. It sounds very simple, and it is, but it can result in a very powerful transformation of the nightmare imagery. And what happens when we manage to transform negative imagery, negative dream imagery or nightmare imagery into something more positive, or something peaceful, or something happy, then it changes the course of the nightmare. It changes the energy of the nightmare. And this is the way that we speak to our unconscious, the language of dreaming. Those images to change spontaneously into something healing, then that can be just an incredibly powerful way of working with the dream. One technique that I've developed, this is basically the same kind of thing. It's called the Lucid Imaging Nightmare Solution. And I talk about this in my complete book of lucid dreaming. And this is when you re-enter a nightmare as soon as you've had it. Again, only if you feel okay about working with the nightmare on your own. And this nightmare, this time you imagine that you are lucid, so that you can change things and you're safe. You can wake up when you want to, or stop the process. And this, once you're in this state of re-entering the nightmare, you could either send peace and love, as I just said, or you can ask the dream a question. Ask the monster that jumps out of the cupboard, who are you? Do you have a message for me? What do you want? And just ask in a curious way, just be really open for the answer, because you'll find that since you're in this very creative state of mind with all this mental imagery, you'll find that spontaneously answers will come, which will be surprising. It's not you making it all up. Not that much point in doing that. The best thing is when you let the imagery respond to you. So you're going in there with your conscious awareness and your conscious focus, and you're enabling change.
I just wanted to say, I know that you're in the process of writing a book about nightmares. Could you tell us a little bit about it and when it'll be out?
Yeah, sure. It's not going to be out for quite a while because I'm doing it via a US publisher. I've actually just finished a book, The Art of Lucid Dreaming, which is my next new book, and then the nightmare book's coming after that, but I'm going to start writing it now. And that's going to have sleep paralysis nightmares. It's going to have narcoleptic nightmares. So narcolepsy is when you involuntarily fall asleep several times a day. And it's going to have everything about the shadow as well, the shadow aspect of ourselves, aspects that we repress and that emerge in nightmares demanding to be heard. And it's going to have loads of practical techniques about how to work with all of these different sorts of nightmares. So, yeah.
Wonderful.
I'm looking forward to it. It's good. It's got such amazing energy to work with nightmares. And
yeah. We are talking
Great.
dream expert Clare Johnson about nightmares.